recently, I believe I believe it was yesterday on Thursday that the public was notified that her remains had been discovered. Now, actually, her remains had been discovered a few days before, but they needed to get a positive identification on that. So that's why we were just finding out yesterday. They say that she was found in a very shallow grave, and she was in different pieces with her limbs, and they were able to use her teeth. I know that's kind of gory. But fortunately, they identified her. So, we're expecting some pretty big news to come out briefly or shortly. The manner of death, if that's possible. What kinds of clothes she was wearing, or if that's a possibility. And if they can pull DNA samples from places like the marrow in her bones to see if we can find out, like if maybe she had been shot with a tranquilizer. But after over 3 years, it's very possible that we may find out very little. And just to go back on this case, I have a couple of questions for you. Well, first, I'll just throw this one out. How many of you regularly put your phone in airplane mode? Or even infrequently put your phone in airplane mode? I want to know. And then we can kind of look at that to see if you think that's a pretty normal thing that people do. Okay, Suzanne went missing on Mother's Day of 2020. And both of her daughters, I don't know the age, I'm sorry, but they late teens, early 20s, went camping with some friends, so they were not there, and went camping for that weekend. Her husband says that the last time he saw her, she was in bed asleep. But we have so much contradicting evidence that sure points to him. And look, I'm playing with my peppermint lip balm. All right, let me get my hands over here. So he claims, well, let's just back up and talk about his career as a landscaper. And it appeared to be he was very successful. If you look at their home, they had just moved to Colorado 2 years earlier, a fairly small population there, and we don't know why. There's been some speculation that possibly it was an opportunity for them to reconnect as husband and wife, since maybe they had had some issues. So she had, well, the first time that he was interviewed, he claimed they didn't have any issues. He claimed, or he did some videos offering up $100,000 for any information leading to her whereabouts. And then he upped that again by another $100,000. So he was offering $200,000 and seemed very distraught in the video. But the odd thing was that he was away 4 or 5 hours away on Mother's Day, which often people don't typically work on Sunday, especially if it's an important holiday. But he he was away, and from what we found out, there's just so much that really points to him as being the person who, I think we're not supposed to say the M word on YouTube, but who ended her life. So they were able to extract data from his Ford pickup truck, and obviously his phone was on, which I just talked about, was on airplane mode. So there's about 5 hours of time that his phone's not being tracked. And when someone called him saying that they were unable to get her to come to the door, then he asked if the bicycle was there. And it alludes to thinking, oh, if he's very innocent, I mean, he's going to say she's probably off on a bike ride. She loves to ride bikes in the mountains. But the bicycle was missing. So he called 911 and got back to the home within a reasonable amount of time for that lengthy of a job. He began part of the search. They were able to locate a bicycle, I think it was to the north of the home, and down a ravine. So the search party located that, and then there were some questions, and he said that he had taken a right turn rather than the typical left, and so they followed that clue and found her bicycle helmet. So as all of this started rolling in, we began to find out so much about this family, which is quite sad. She suspected that he was having an affair, and it came out that she was also having an affair, actually a long-standing affair with a person that she had dated in high school. So it could have easily been 15 to 20 years, probably 20 years earlier in her life. Not high school, college. Someone that she dated for a little while in college. This affair boyfriend didn't want to come forward with information. He said first that he thought that it would sully or taint her reputation. And then for his own benefit, he wanted to keep this relationship out of the news and kind of totally off the radar because he's married with 6 children. So they were able to rule him out because of his location, his alibi. They had all checked out. The boyfriend was not a suspect. And they were unable to rule out her husband. And some interesting things happened. The day before she went missing, she had texted him. They were having some pretty heated issues. And she texted him saying that she was done. This was over. And she wanted them to work on a civil path to go forward. So I don't think that was the only time there have been some conversations or on text. And he had deleted his text messages, but they were able to retrieve it. And there were some really shaky, kind of odd situations going on. When he returned to the home, the telephone was on at that time, and he had, from his path, you could see he had gone around the home maybe several times. or I think this may have been before he left and went out of town. And his explanation was they have a lot of chipmunks, and he was trying to go around shooting the chipmunks. And for a caveat, he is a large game hunter. They found a cylinder in the drying machine that looked like it was one that encased a needle for tranquilizing an animal. And he kind of blew that off and said, yeah, he knew that was poaching and it was not legal, but he would shoot an elk and then saw its horns off. So, anyway, so many different sad situations. But a year later, after her disappearance, he was arrested, charged with first-degree M, and detained pending trial. And as this situation progressed, to raise those up just a bit, as this progressed, the judge felt like there wasn't, well, obviously they didn't have a body, they didn't have a murder weapon, it was a lot of circumstantial stuff. So they decided to release him pending an ankle bracelet that he was supposed to wear, and also on the situation that if more evidence came through, then they can rearrest him. So one thing that I found was really odd, and I'll ask you guys about this. Maybe I misunderstood it, but from what I gathered is this ankle bracelet didn't work, or it was only working just a few miles away from the main police station. And so because of that, he was required to come in each day to be accounted for. And I guess my thoughts just went crazy, like, is there not another ankle bracelet that is working? It's a very mountainous terrain, and I can see that it may present a challenge, but I would say it's very important. And then a few other things I just wanted to mention is he disposed of trash in some really odd ways the morning of her disappearance. Went to 5 different trash locations with throwing a few things here. It was caught on video. A few things at McDonald's trash dumpster, and I don't remember the names of the other ones. Very very suspicious. And his explanation for that is, I'm just cheap. I throw away things from the from the work site without paying for a dumpster. So I just toss them away in somebody else's dumpster. So, in the meantime, after he was released, his daughters have stood by him without a doubt, without any type of limitations. And he pursued a suit against the prosecutors, witnesses, some different people from the court for a huge sum of money. And if you remember how much that is, will you write it down? Oh, let's take a moment. If you will like and subscribe, we are so close. It's unbelievable. This happened so quickly. We are so close to meeting our milestone. So then pretty soon we'll be able to do live chats where you can come on. We can talk about different things. I really like this true crime community in the way that people crowdsource information. So that would help a lot. Or if you can think of anybody that might like to watch this, just share it with them. And I really do appreciate it. So the last thing I want to say is that there was an employee of his. Remember, he has a landscaping company, and it looks like he spans a very large area, all of Denver, and very large area with his landscaping company. One of his employees that he was very close to spoke on his behalf and said what a great guy, and he's done some interviews. And since then, that employee has passed away, and I haven't been able to find out information about how. He was fairly young, well, middle-aged, but definitely not in any type of frail health. And so I guess we'll have a lot to tease out as the more information comes. So you don't want to miss it. Stay with me, and as the news breaks, I'll try to keep you updated. Okay, I hope you guys have a great evening.